Hey, we are here on the latest issue, release, transmission of the Empire Business, and we teased it last time. We're here to talk about transmissions.
Yeah, we're opening a body shop.
And we're going to have a podcast called Car Talk, which is unprecedented in the history of broadcasting. Nah, that's bullshit. We're talking about commissions. Commission podcast, a long and storied history. Commission podcast was one of the foundational things that built Bald Move, right?
Yeah, it was certainly a leg that Bald Move was standing on at one point.
We were in Sobro, South Broad Ripple.
Okay.
And we were at an Irish pub, and we were having fish and chips and beers.
Oh, shit.
What?
We're not recording audio. Yeah, we got to record audio for this. Okay. Stop it all. Stop everything. We can trim this in YouTube, right?
Yes.
Okay, then let's just switch back to the blank screen.
Hey, everybody. We are here on the latest, second to last installment of the Empire Business, and we're here to talk about commissioned podcasts. Jim, commissioned podcast has
I was led to believe this was going to be a road to perdition thing. That's what the forums told me.
Well, they're wrong.
Shit.
Sometimes people guess wrong.
I did a lot of research.
It happens. Well, we can talk about this because it's related. Like you commissioned a Perdition podcast, and you were left holding the bag, and you're feeling a little you're feeling a little used, little scuffed up, and that's one of the many topics we want to talk about. So, commissioned podcast, long and storied history of Bald Move. It was one of the things we came up with when we were brainstorming. Way back when you still lived in Broad Ripple, we were at an Irish bar, and we were literally like writing down things we could do. Like we could do autograph pictures, we could do
Kickstarters,
we could do phone calls. You could just call like at a time, one time for like $70. You could just call up me and Jim and talk to us for an hour. And one of the things, because we've studied a little bit of marketing, you need like the good, better, best option, because no one's really going to buy the best except for the money bags. And the good option is bullshit. So you're trying to steer people towards the best option. And the Commission podcast was our answer for the best option. It's the pie in the sky, gold-plated luxury edition piece of the club puzzle. And the way it worked is you shell out, I think at the time, $250, and you select a movie or any, I think, 2-ish hours of content, and we'd watch it and review it. And we've done, how many of these have we done? 200?
Sure, that seems like a reasonable guess. I have no idea.
We've done low hundreds of these things, and it was great. Let's talk about the pros and the cons, okay? Because I think we talked about this last year when we stopped doing them, but let's just kind of run it down. So pros, it was super popular. Some of these commissioned podcasts are still really valuable ways for people to get injected into the Bald Move community. We've heard many times the first podcast people have listened to was our Pulp Fiction podcast or our Goonies podcast. And if you search like Pulp Fiction podcast, to this day, we're still, I think, in the top 3 results. And we're the top number 1 for a lot of these movies. And we liked it too, because 90% of the time it was just fun. Yeah. Like it was either like something that to the extent that our audience reflects us, and I think to a large degree it does, when people select us to watch things like Goonies, Back to the Future, Big Trouble in Little China, those are the movies they love and are the movies we love, or if we haven't seen them, we will love, and we can gush about them, and a good time's had by all. What's some other things?
I've just discovered movies like Pontypool and
Un Profit.
Yeah, Un Profit, and what is the Maori...
Once Were Warriors?
Yeah, Once Were Warriors movie. Like, those are movies I never would have watched.
Never, ever in a million years would have watched. And, because, again, the taste of the Bald Move audience largely reflects ours, we loved those things and made us more well-rounded media critics. And it seemed that also the community enjoyed it, we enjoyed it, and by and large, the feedback we got from the commissioners of the projects was universally high. People liked it. They felt gratified, even though it seemed like a lot of money. It felt like that it really scratched that itch. Like the perceived value was there. The cons are kind of like a large part going to be mirrored images, a dark, shadowy reflection of the pros. The last price that we had for commissions of $300 for a person to just pick us a piece of work for us to watch. There was also a community commission option where people could buy $10 shares to add it up to $350 and then pool towards a pick that we kind of sourced from social media and the forums. We found out what people would be interested in. We just added them all to the store, and the people could just pick through them and see which ones they want. And as soon as we sold all the shares, we take it down into the movie. But when we first launched the club, we had 0 people in it. When we last increased the price from $250 to $300, we had about 1,500 people in the club, and now we have 5,000. And we just found that this is just way too low for demand, which led us to being overwhelmed. Like when we stopped,
we had 20 something in the queue,
and we were 5-6 a month, which at our slow period we can do maybe 1 a week, and we were getting like 5 to 6 extra a month, and we had a backlog of 20. It took us over a year to work our way through that.
Yeah, it was brutal.
Yeah, and also the perceived value to us wasn't as like, when we put this out there as the gold plated titanium platinum option, Bald Move's net revenue was like $25,000 that year.
Right.
So like any money we had that could like increase the runway we had on our burn rate, we were happy to get. And we also, had a lot more time than money back then. This has completely inverted. We have almost 0 time, and the things that we're doing, like for example, just the passive MTM ads that we got for 1 month of Game of Thrones was like $20,000. Those we didn't have to. Those are just the Geico automated reads that you guys heard. Yeah. We didn't have to. We didn't sign. That just got glommed onto a podcast and we got a $20,000 check for it. And you think about like the club money that we generated and the ad money that we generated, like it's hard to justify spending 5 hours for both of us to do a commission podcast for $300 when we can do something that reaches hundreds of thousands of fans and makes us much money. So the value proposition just wasn't there. Also
a lot of stress around it.
Talk about the stress, Jim.
Yeah. So my gut always got twisted up when I watched somebody's movie that they had paid $300 for, and I didn't like it. And I had to get on the microphones and tell them that the movie that they wrote in to say that they love so much didn't do anything for me.
Right.
So like that always kind of weighed over every commission, unless it was, a fucking Back to the Future or something like that.
Right.
That I knew I already loved.
Yeah.
It was always up in the air, and I always stressed out about it.
It's also, I think, stressful on the commissioners because we heard feedback for when people that happened 5 or 6 times in the entire commission podcast, so we didn't like something and it made people upset. It felt like it's kind of like, it takes about $150 to go to Disney World, and that's fine. And if you go there and you get to meet all the princesses and you get to shake Buzz Lightyear's hand and you get to build a lightsaber, you think, hey, that's money well spent. But like if 1 out of 30 times Mickey Mouse just takes a shit in your mouth, that $150, you start thinking, God, I could have taken my wife and kids out to eat. I could have bought myself a new fishing rod. I could have gotten myself 3 mani-pedis.
I could have paid somebody else to shit in my mouth twice.
Right.
He's got a bad value.
There's a guy down the street who'll do it 3 times for that kind of amount. It's one of those things. It's like, is the problem with like the Disney World experience, or the fact that like you just can't control when when Walt Disney's going to shit in your mouth?
Yeah.
So like that was a big problem, and also the community commissions. Us just making this a purely democratic approach, where if one person on the forum could get 2 or 3 people to like or comment, like bam, we'll put in passion project for these 3 people, and then 3 shares would sell instantly, and then for 18 months it would sit there, and maybe you get to 6 or 7, but it's never how long would it take that movie to get commissioned, and what are we doing to these people's money? Because the second you bought a share, we charged them, right, and it caused us to hold on to money for too long. In fact,
and it fragmented the audience. It didn't enable people to spend those 3 or 4 shares on something else that they may have we may have put up later, and they go, oh shit, I'd want to see that, and maybe it's more successful. Like
and as a consequence, there actually are a handful of people that we still have, because when we stopped this, there was a couple movies that were at some various level of funding, and we haven't forgotten about you. Part of this project that we're going to discuss is going to be getting you guys paid back, or see if you want to reinvest in this new system that we're going to talk about here in a minute. The other problem was the WooCommerce software that we used to power this was just a giant piece of shit. It's designed to sell people items. It is not designed to start a complex negotiation of what you want us to do and how to get so many times we'd have like time at the end of the week, we'd realize on like Tuesday, oh, we got like Thursday free, we should do a commission podcast. We go to the community commission podcast and we realize that like we haven't gotten feedback from anybody, so like we got to send the call for feedback. We got to let a reasonable amount of time, because that's something else that hurt people's feelings, is if it they got a piece of feedback and they only had a week to turn it around, or they missed it, and then
there's a lot of overhead associated with the system that we were using.
A lot of overhead. Just finding all those people to send emails to was a 30-minute process. So there's a lot of problems with the old commission system, despite how much people loved it. And we talked about all this. This is a pretty well-rounded. This is pretty well-trod territory. So on to the new shit. We have been working, we've been kind of like planning and dreaming and scheming of a way to bring commissions back. Because one of the things is we, as a consequence of doing this empire business, we get to share our deepest, darkest fears with people. And one of the nice things is sometimes people let us know that some of these things aren't as scary as maybe we're thinking they are. And we got like 3 pieces of feedback. Broadly speaking, there's a minority opinion of people like, yeah, those are all good reasons, and we understand, and we'll miss commissions, but that's okay. there's another minority of like, well, we just don't understand why you can't keep doing it the way you're doing it. And then there's a majority of people saying, you dummies should just raise the price.
It's weird because that's sort of a double-edged sword. Like, yes, it fixes the one problem of being overloaded by too many commissions.
Right.
But on the other hand,
value to us,
that stress level goes through the roof. Like if I'm raising the price to $500,000, $2,000, it's going to be exponentially more stressful for me to get on the mic and shit on somebody's project.
Yes. Yeah. Like it's like if it was $300 and now it's $1,000, it's now 3 times scarier to do that. But it actually is, I guess, surprising to us that people, I guess, were on board with the idea that the price would have to go up, because we just thought that, like, we tried to price this at something that, like, an average person, if they were a really enthusiast super fan, could save up for like a year. Save away $25, $50 here, there, a month, and then, like, as a treat for them, or if a special person in their life could do this really special thing. When you start talking like $1,000, that's like, that starts to become ever out of reach of people, and that's always kind of a bummer. It's kind of not compatible with the bald ethos, but a lot of people. Seemed like the majority of people just kind of understood that, like, well, there's a period of Bald Move where, they were like really a lean startup, and they had, like, no one has ever, we don't feel that way about phone calls. Like, you can't just pick up the phone for $75 and talk to us for an hour. If, why are we hung up on this one thing? So your guys' feedback kind of helped us think, all right, well, there is a section of the community that's not going to just be put out by us, having a much higher price tag on these commissions. We also decided that the way to go was to kind of some sort of crowdsourced funding site, like a Kickstarter. The thing with Kickstarter is, if you start a Kickstarter, you set a goal, and you don't get unlimited amount of time. Well, I actually think you can do that now. You can have it open.
Can?
Maybe. Wow. I can't remember the last time, but I know like you can go. But the point is, when you first started Kickstarter, you had a small amount of time to get the project done, and if it didn't, then it just, no one got charged money unless it was successful.
That's key,
because you can already see how that's going to solve some of our problems. In fact, let's just walk down the way we conceive, like, using a Kickstarter style funding system. We plan on having a curated list of community commissions that Jim and I are going to essentially personally guarantee is going to lead to an entertaining podcast. It might be funny. It might be interesting. It might be something that, like, Jim hates and I love, or Jim loves and I hate, and we can, like, argue about it and fight about it. It might be like a torture thing that we can fuck with each other on, but it's going to be something that the community is probably going to appreciate and enjoy and feel like, that was a satisfying piece of content. There's also going to be, at any one time, a single digital chic option, which means there will be let's say there's going to be a project that costs X amount of dollars, and there will be one funding option, and it will be X amount of dollars. So if you fund that, then you own it, and it can be any movie you want within this, the time constraints, etc. But there's going to be a big disclaimer. Like, just like in big red letters saying, if you pick a project that we don't like, a consequence of that is we're making a podcast describing how we don't like the thing that you love. And are you going to be able to, like, live with that? And then there's also going to be a 2-step process where you fund the project, and then we will watch the thing that you want us to watch, and we will contact you at that point to say, hey, we're both thumbs up, or Jim's thumbs down, I'm kind of or, we both hate it, and you can tell us whether you want us to continue in the process or not. If you don't, there'll be a 20% restocking fee to kind of cover us, our expenses of watching the film, and also to kind of keep this from being like, because one of the things we thought about... Yeah,
just make Jim and A.Ron watch my favorite movie for no money, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Or a shitty movie.
Like something they know we'd hate, just to make us do it and then get the easy out. Plus, it takes time to do this shit. It takes, like, if we watch a 2-hour movie times 2, it's 4 hours. That's 4 hours of something we could do to be delighting everybody, instead of, gratifying a single person.
We don't want to make this a free troll Jim and A.Ron button.
Right. And we want to compensate our time. You can also select, if you got the slot, you can select another movie, but there'll still be that 20% restocking fee that you have to satisfy before you can pick another movie, and then the process starts all over again. Also, the price is going to go up. $15,000 is what it's going to cost to commission.
Yeah, it's unfortunate we had to go that high. That's a little high. $14,999.
I mean, that's just psychologically sounds better.
Okay, 1,000.
Wow, 7,500.
How about 1,000?
All right, 1,000. We're going to start $1,000 to have both the community commissions and the single commission, because I don't think there's going to be a difference in price now.
No,
because the overhead,
there isn't a difference in overhead for us at this point.
Right.
It's all on Cecily now. That's Cecily work.
Well, not only that, but like the project, the way we see this thing is, the way the software works is you select the funding level you want, like essentially how much you want to contribute towards it, and there'll also be a box where you put in your feedback for the project at the time.
Right. This is like 99% automated.
Right.
It takes all the overhead out.
And then also these prices will be subject to demand. Like if there's not a lot of people buying and we have time to do them, then the price might fall. On the other hand, if like we burn through all these community commissions and like someone picks the brass ring Omega option right off the bat, maybe we make the price go up and before we put more out. So we can kind of more respond instead of like putting 30 movies out there and like, oh shit, they're all stuck at $350 bucks. We can kind of play with it based on our schedule and the needs of Bald Move and the demand from the community, etc.
Yeah, and the expiring project idea gives us a lot of flexibility there.
Right. So if it's a real dud of a project and only 3 or 4 people care to back it, then in like 30 to 90 days, we haven't really decided on these policies yet. The project just expires. No one has been charged. We don't have any of your money. So you only will be charged, just like Kickstarter, if the project is successful.
Yeah.
And that solves a lot of the cons right there.
The other thing this enables us to do, like with a small curated list of movies, is better get the word out about commissions, because it was always a hassle to like, how do we advertise community commissions? Because every day there's going to be a new community commission. We can't tell everybody about everything. This enables us to say, new round of commissions. Here are the movies. Go support them. And if you want something else, the community commission or the custom commission is up right now. Go jump on it.
And we can use the housekeeping system to be like, beloved fan favorite movie is 3 days away from final and it's 97% completed. Push it over the edge so we can do it.
Yeah, it makes the messaging around that so much simpler.
Yeah, just go to this thing and click the button and you're part of the project.
And that has become more of a problem, messaging of things we do as we do more stuff and scale up. Like all that stuff has become harder, so this kind of simplifies it.
The risks are more clearly defined and mitigated with us curating the options, because we're not going to put something up there that we hate or hate in a unentertaining way or in a bummer way. And with the restocking fee, like even if somebody picks something and makes us watch something truly stupid, we're at least getting compensated for time. We're discouraged. And also the higher price tag, I think, discourages people from maybe taking risks, which is maybe a con of the system too, which we'll get to here in a minute. And then also there's being less overhead because the feedback, all that stuff. Like I'm not gonna have to search through a whole bunch of like WooCommerce invoices to find everybody's emails and then try to get to everybody's feedback. And like this is all gonna be the time you got your credit card, you're putting your information out. You all that stuff is taken care of. And like if you don't submit feedback, that's fine. But if you want to submit feedback, that's the time to do it. Then the possible cons are, like I said, the price. I can see that, being a turnoff to people, because like $1,000 is a lot more than $300. It's a lot harder to save up in a year for $1,000 fun money project than it is $300.
It helps that these are going to be open to the whole community.
Right.
So, you can put in $10 and get that movie funded if 100 other people do. Is that right? 100? Yeah.
And I think the curation also, there could be some democratic processes in there where like, Jim and I have a couple of things that we want to do and think would be good, but then we can also like, take to social media or to forums to get like a couple of suggestions, and then we just pick one we like the best. So there's a little bit of feedback there. There's also room to like do these as special promotional things. Like if we can build things around the 20th anniversary of The Matrix, maybe. Did we do The Matrix? I feel like we did The Matrix.
That sounds right, but I couldn't tell you for sure.
Have we done The Matrix? Jesus Christ,
done
Beth,
so many.
have we done The Matrix?
Yeah, so we're considering this kind of a pilot program for the return of commissions.
Yes.
Like this is the micro version of what it's the version we know we can accomplish that solves the most problems and reduces the most risk.
That's what we could do with the WordPress plugins that we had available with a little bit of developer grease, and just to see how it all works. Because like honestly, we got at this stage. We were all gripped up about, oh, what if we do this? But at this stage, it's like, if this doesn't work, if people are no sale on it, that's fine with us.
Yeah, because I mean, we've been getting along without commissions for a while now.
Yeah,
we didn't want to come back with something that's going to further burden us in the future,
right? Or
just suck for our listeners.
Right.
So
we're bringing this back because we think it'll be fun, and because people like it's one of the most asked things, and now we'll have an answer for it. And if the answer is there's just not that much demand for it at this price point, we're super fine. It's not gonna hurt our feelings. Hope it doesn't hurt your guys' feelings. It also could be because one of the pros were us getting exposed to new stuff. The price also is probably gonna have a cold water effect, like we talked about that, because. Yeah. Do you take a flyer on Un Profit, or do you just have us, watch Independence Day?
Yeah, right.
Because that's going to be fun and popcorn, and like we might hate Un Profit, but we might love it. The risk reward changes with the money, and that's going to, that's a con that I'm not sure that this part of the project mitigates. And also. The other thing, it's a double-edged sword because it's one thing that like if you had $300 and you could just as soon as you had $300 in your hand you could run to the store and you bought your commission podcast and it's good to go. This new system, if someone's already bought in the slot for this time slot, you're going to have to wait an unknown amount of time until that slot opens up. Are you going to hold on to that $300, or are you going to be like most other people and spend it because you're living your life?
Right.
There might be it's not only harder to save towards a bigger amount, but also the fact that you're saving towards something that may or may not be available at the time. That's a possible
may or may not be the same price. I mean, with the sliding price window,
right.
you don't really know what the exact price of the next one's going to be. It could be lower if it doesn't sell, or it could be higher if it does. Like
right. So at this point, I think it would be appropriate to show this is a very rough. We are. Just to give you an idea, our estimated launch, well, our internal deadline is we want to get this out a week or two before Thanksgiving, with in mind a delivery in like January 2020.
Yeah.
So like we're going to put these out. It's going to take a minimum 30 days to fund some of these community commissions, even if that's going to be probably the initial funding deadline goal, and then we're going to have a very busy. For fourth quarter here at Bald Move, and when things slow down in January, we'll start fulfilling these things. So we've still got a couple months, but we've got a pretty good system. It needs a little bit more polish. There's a few kind of kinks we're working out, but I think now it's time to bring Cecily in here and let's do a demo of this system.
Hey guys.
Hey.
Here. You ready to talk about transmissions?
I am ready.
No, my car doesn't have one, so no.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we really didn't think about that before the change, the change in focus.
So what you're seeing now is just a rough form of the crowdfunding option we have on the website here. I like this because it's all built into the actual website and it's not going to redirect anyone to some other platform. So you could get a couple shares of this commission and your membership at the same time on the same charge if you want.
You can what?
No, you can't do that.
Is that possible?
No, it's not possible.
Oh, is it not?
That can't be possible.
But
I think they're two separate systems.
Oh, are they?
It's entirely possible that one of the things we talk about is bringing the merch back into Bald Move. You might be able to get a T-shirt and commission at the same time.
Yeah, that might work.
Yeah. So let's start with this one, which will definitely be one of the first ones we launch.
I've never seen. It's amazing. I've never seen that movie.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people haven't seen this movie. Yeah, this is it. It's very simple. show the percentage of the goal, the total amount here, 15,000.
Right.
Change that to 14,999.
Uh-huh.
You have to have an end date for the project.
Mm-hmm.
So if we wanted to just let something run to infinity, I can't just remove an end date. But
perfect, because we don't want to.
That's fine. Yeah.
You can have this. I chose this featured image here, and you can build in the trailer too.
Yeah, I like that.
That's a cool
kind of
feature,
cool.
Yeah.
Just to get a refresher. What was that movie? Oh yeah, I like that movie. I'll back that.
Mm-hmm.
Number of days left.
Support now, still get that featured image, and then this right here would be your total disclaimer for everything you need to know about your podcast and what you're getting yourself into.
So how does this work? What is the contribution level on?
There's just the one.
Okay.
One
and then
commission
can you
share.
change the total?
No.
So you have to do this a bunch of times if you want to do 15.
Well,
I think that's one of the things we need to iron out.
you
Yeah.
can just update the quantity
Okay.
in your cart. So you could do 8 commissions like that, and it would charge
Each
you.
one is $100 right now? Is that just temporary?
Why
Are
does
we
it
gonna
say
let-
$100? These are at
I don't know.
10.
We may have some bugs. in
Like
the
I
system.
said,
the
we-
technical
the-
stuff we're still working on.
We're still 2+ months out from this project, so we
Oh, that's probably just a number I put in the staging.
yeah.
But yeah, that's generally how it'll work.
Okay. Seems pretty simple.
Yeah.
And we still have the feedback mechanism in there. We got to add that. That's still something that's going to be that's still a bullet point that we got to nail down.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But I have every confidence that we'll be able to have this out by Thanksgiving. And if not, then we just won't have it out by Thanksgiving. It'll be a bummer for everybody.
Yeah, I'm hoping to add more things like some FAQs up front, some more text boxes. Is that right? Doesn't feel right coming out. I like this Jim and A.Ron's take feature here so that everyone will know exactly how you guys feel about the movies. So if it is
Generally,
something
yeah.
you're doing that Jim hates and A.Ron likes, then
I think that'll be
good.
more of like the narrative of the like I'll come up with some text for the movie that kind of explains like why we picked it, why this thing got curated, and because that was just me trying to give people an advice. That was my effort of advising people what they were getting themselves into. Like if you're picking something neither one of us has seen, who the fuck knows? But like I like it, he doesn't like it, I like it, he hasn't seen it. That's useful information. Now that we're curating it, we can just build that into the description. But yeah, we'll definitely be continuing to add that information.
So yeah, our developer just was able to make this work a couple of days ago, so I just got started kind of building it out, but I hope soon in the future I'll have a lot more to show off.
Some pretty good stock picks here.
Yeah.
Brad Pitt, snake handling, and Paul Giamatti, completely blue.
Yeah. I like those ones.
Blew my mind.
Blew your
so
mind.
I'm trying to think, what else do we need to say here? We talked about the launch. We've got a couple of ideas of how we can expand this process. Like one of the ideas of a crowdsourced funding site is that people can like start their own projects and manage all that. There's a lot of flexibility in this system, but I think we're just going to begin the process with the hand curated selections and the Omega option that people can pick, and that's a minimum viable podcasting project that they're gonna launch with. And that's our plans for dealing with commissions in the future. And we'll see how it goes. Again, it's not, if people are like, well, this is a lot of money for a podcast, we agree. Totally agree. And we can totally walk away from this thing. This was pretty much an off-the-shelf piece of software that we had our developer do a little bit of integration work. It's not a lot of time. Like, this will turn a profit if we do a commission or two. And, if it's something that sparks joy and something that's seen as a perceived value, then we'll do more with it, and it'll keep going. And if not, then we'll shit can it and get back to just focusing on.
This is really us throwing a bone to Cecily, letting her pay her way here, because she's
That's
got
the thing.
like
If this
30
fails,
days
we
to
fire
turn.
Cecily.
Yeah, she's got 30 days to turn a
because
profit.
we're paying
if not,
her salary is
God, I have
actually just a
11
bank
days
account
left.
we set up that this thing is funding into. So
Right.
How am I supposed to do
We-
that? If
Jim
we're
and
not
I-
launching
yeah,
it
that's
until
the thing.
next year. I only have 11 days.
well, that's your problem to
like I
figure
said,
out.
like Jim and I's feelings won't be hurt, but Cecily's, her whole livelihood might be destroyed. So
Yeah.
if you want that on your conscience,
Yeah.
then
This is on you as club members.
yes. So anything else I think we got it covered.
Yeah, that's about it. Return of commissions, hopefully November.
Yeah, and if you got I would love to see feedback on this. Like, is this something people are excited about? Is this something people like because like the part of the joy of being the club and the Empire business is you guys get to know what's coming down the pike before it comes down the pike. So in the VIP section, I'll create a article or a forum post for this topic, and let us know what you think about it. And
Please.
we have a final commission or final Empire business, which is the State of the Empire, where we do the long-awaited peek at our books and stuff that we've got in the works and plans, and this kind of like general how things are going. And that'll be out probably next week. That's the plan anyway. And then we'll wrap up the season.
Yes, because this is airing next week. Yep.
Yeah.
You're right.
So we will see you then. Later.